Did Michael Anthony just shut the door on a new Van Halen era? The rock world is buzzing after his shocking rejection of a new frontman, and fans are not ready for this twist. Michael Anthony has finally broken his silence, and the shockwaves are echoing across the rock world as the former Van Halen bassist reportedly rejects the idea of a new Van Halen singer stepping into the spotlight. For decades, Michael Anthony stood at the heart of Van Halen's thunderous rhythm section, his soaring backing vocals and steady bass lines forming the backbone of a band that defined generations. Now, as rumors swirl about a potential revival, featuring a fresh voice at the microphone, Anthony's firm stance is turning speculation into full-blown drama. Fans who have followed every twist and fracture in the Van Halen saga know that nothing about this band has ever been simple. From the explosive charisma of David Lee Roth to the polished power of Sammy Hagar, the identity of Van Halen has always been deeply connected to its frontman. And with Eddie Van Halen no longer here to steer the ship, the question of whether Van Halen should even continue has become more emotional than ever. According to insiders close to the camp, conversations about introducing a new singer began quietly, almost cautiously, as industry figures floated the idea of honoring the legacy while bringing fresh energy to the catalog. But Michael Anthony, who helped build that legacy from the ground up, reportedly pushed back hard. Sources say he believes Van Halen without its core chemistry would feel more like a tribute act than the real thing. That sentiment alone has ignited fierce debate among loyal fans who remain divided over what the future should look like. Anthony's connection to the band runs deeper than contracts and credits. He was there in the smoky clubs before the fame, harmonizing beside Roth, locking in with Eddie, and creating the unmistakable vocal blend that became a signature sound. When Hagar joined, Anthony adapted seamlessly, helping craft massive hits that dominated arenas worldwide. Through lineup changes and personal conflicts, his presence remained a stabilizing force. So when he speaks, even indirectly, the rock community listens closely. The proposal of a new Van Halen singer reportedly came with bold promises. Industry executives envisioned a massive comeback tour, reimagined classics, and perhaps even new material built around archival riffs left behind by Eddie. The commercial potential is obvious. Nostalgia tours are selling out stadiums, and the Van Halen name still carries enormous weight. Yet Anthony's hesitation suggests that for him, legacy matters more than profit. Those close to him describe a man protective of the band's history, unwilling to dilute what was created through blood, sweat, and decades of loyalty. The emotional weight surrounding Eddie's passing cannot be overstated. Eddie Van Halen was not just a guitarist. He was the creative engine, the innovator whose riffs redefined rock music. Without him, any continuation feels complicated. Anthony reportedly feels that inserting a new singer into that fragile equation risks reopening old wounds rather than celebrating the music. Fans remember how fractured relationships became in the past, particularly during the turbulent years when Anthony himself was sidelined from later reunions. That history adds another layer to his current resistance. Social media has erupted with passionate opinions. Some fans argue that rock and roll is about evolution and that Van Halen could thrive with a bold new voice. Others insist the band's magic was rooted in the specific chemistry between its classic members. Anthony's stance has emboldened those who believe the story should end respectfully rather than be stretched into something unrecognizable. Meanwhile, musicians across the industry are weighing in, acknowledging how rare it is for a band's internal harmony to survive such seismic losses. The debate also highlights a broader question facing legendary acts. When does honoring a legacy cross the line into exploiting it? For Anthony, the answer appears clear. Reports suggest he is not interested in attaching his name to a version of Van Halen that feels disconnected from its origins. He has found renewed joy performing with Sammy Hagar in other projects, celebrating the catalog without pretending to rewrite history. That path allows him to revisit the music authentically, surrounded by familiar chemistry rather than forced reinvention. Still, whispers continue that others within the extended Van Halen circle are more open to experimentation. The possibility of guest vocalists, rotating singers, or even a one-off tribute event has not been completely dismissed. Yet Anthony's reported rejection of a permanent new frontman sends a powerful message. It signals that for at least one founding member, Van Halen is not a brand to be reshaped at will, but a moment in time that deserves preservation. The tension between nostalgia and progress is nothing new in rock history. But few bands carry the emotional weight that Van Halen does. Every riff, every harmony, every explosive chorus is tied to memories of packed arenas and groundbreaking albums. Anthony's voice was woven into those choruses, often soaring just beneath the lead vocal, adding depth that casual listeners might overlook but true fans instantly recognize. Removing that context risks flattening the magic that made the band untouchable. As the speculation grows louder, one truth remains undeniable. Michael Anthony's rejection has forced everyone to confront what Van Halen truly represents. Is it a living entity that can evolve indefinitely, or is it a completed masterpiece, best left untouched? The answer may determine not only the band's future, but also how history remembers its final chapter. For now, the silence from other key figures only intensifies the intrigue. Will there be an official statement? Will plans quietly dissolve behind closed doors? Or will the lure of the stage prove too strong to resist? Whatever happens next, Michael Anthony has made it clear that his loyalty lies with the spirit of Van Halen as it was forged, not with a reinvention that risks rewriting the story. And in a world where legacies are often reshaped for convenience, that kind of conviction is as powerful as any power chord ever played. Michael Anthony continues to stand firm. And as more details emerge about the rumored attempt to introduce a new Van Halen singer, the story grows even more layered and intense. Those familiar with the inner dynamics of Van Halen understand that every decision has always carried emotional undercurrents. The band's history is marked by triumphs that felt larger than life and conflicts that played out publicly, with raw honesty. Anthony's reported refusal is not just about rejecting a vocalist. It is about protecting a legacy he helped build from nothing into a global phenomenon. Industry chatter suggests that potential candidates had quietly been discussed, ranging from established rock vocalists to rising stars eager to attach their names to the legendary catalog. The idea was framed as a celebration, a way to introduce Van Halen's music to a new generation while reigniting excitement among longtime fans. But Anthony's perspective appears rooted in something deeper than excitement. He has spoken in past interviews about the irreplaceable chemistry that existed between himself, Eddie, Roth, and later Hagar. That chemistry was unpredictable, electric, and impossible to manufacture. Replacing one element of that formula, especially the frontman, risks turning lightning into something staged. Fans remember how dramatic previous lineup changes felt. When Roth first departed, it seemed unthinkable that anyone could fill his flamboyant shoes. Yet Hagar carved out his own era, proving that evolution was possible under the right circumstances. The difference now is that Eddie Van Halen is no longer here to anchor that evolution. Without his guiding vision, the emotional center feels absent. Anthony reportedly believes that moving forward without that anchor could feel hollow. No matter how talented a new singer might be, there is also a personal dimension to consider. Anthony experienced the sting of being excluded during later reunions, watching from the sidelines as the band reconfigured without him. That chapter left scars, even if time has softened them. His current resistance may reflect a desire to avoid repeating cycles of reinvention that fracture relationships further. By drawing a clear boundary now, he ensures that his role in Van Halen's story remains intact and uncompromised. Meanwhile, fans are dissecting every rumor, every social media hint, and every offhand comment from those connected to the band. Some argue that rock history is filled with bands that survived multiple transformations. Others counter that Van Halen's identity was too intertwined with its specific personalities to survive another dramatic shift. Anthony's name trending, alongside speculation, has only intensified curiosity. He has not delivered a fiery public rant. Instead, his reported rejection carries a calm finality that speaks volumes. Musicians who grew up idolizing Van Halen are watching closely. Many credit Anthony's harmonies as a secret ingredient behind the band's anthemic sound. His bass work may not have always dominated headlines, but it provided the glue that held explosive guitar and flamboyant vocals together. That grounding presence now mirrors his approach to the future: steady, protective, unwilling to gamble. With what was sacred, the commercial allure of a comeback cannot be ignored. Stadium tours featuring legacy acts are proving that audiences crave nostalgia. Promoters see dollar signs in the Van Halen name, envisioning sold-out arenas and emotional, sing-along moments. Yet Anthony's stance suggests that not every opportunity should be seized simply because it is profitable. For him, the memory of standing shoulder to shoulder with Eddie, feeling the roar of a crowd as harmonies soared, is not something to be replicated artificially. It is a chapter completed with dignity. As days pass without confirmation of a new singer, speculation shifts toward alternative possibilities. Could there be a one-night tribute featuring multiple vocalists? Could archived recordings be polished into a final release? Those ideas seem more aligned with honoring history than rewriting it. Anthony's reported rejection does not feel like bitterness. It feels like preservation. He appears determined to ensure that when fans think of Van Halen, they picture the raw chemistry that once ignited stages worldwide, not a reassembled version struggling to recapture former glory. In the end, the debate may never fully settle. Some will always crave one more tour, one more anthem shouted into the night. Others will respect the decision to let legends rest. Michael Anthony's refusal has drawn a line in the sand, forcing the conversation into the open. It reminds everyone that behind the headlines and rumors are human beings grappling with grief, loyalty, and the weight of history. Whether Van Halen remains a closed chapter or surprises the world with an unexpected twist, one thing is certain: Anthony's voice, both literal and symbolic, continues to shape the narrative. And in staying true to what he believes Van Halen represents, he has once again proven why his role in rock history will never be overlooked.